Hey, Pop. No, you're good. No, good dog. Hip hip, hooray, on the air. All right, everybody, welcome to High Top Sports Network's presentation of WPIAL Class 5A, Section 2 Varsity Softball. Today, the Armstrong Riverhawks are hosting the Kiski area Cavaliers. News to me. Found out when I got down to Kiski area high school that the game had been moved to Armstrong a couple hours prior to first pitch. I'm disorganized, but I usually show up in the right place. A little difficult getting turned around and getting up here, and as I was pulling in, I noticed the Riverhawks were pounding the ball all over the place, and it was 12-0 by the time I got online, but now it's 12-2, and the Riverhawks get out of the bottom of the fourth, so I'll get everything updated in the way it should look here in just a moment. But I wanted to get it online and at least explain what happened. And yes, I may sound a bit out of breath. That's because I am. It's been a wild ride, wild ride. for the last hour and a half. But here we are. So, High Top Sports Network on the air. Josh Reckengast here with you. Fourth inning, bottom of. Riverhawks coming up 12-2. And Armstrong has a chance, if they score a run, I think 13 after 4, to put it away. So hopefully, this game will continue for a little bit longer. We'll see how it goes. But I will try. We'll try to get everything looking the way it should look here before this one ends. The Riverhawks trying to go to 6-2 on the year, coming off a 16-0 win over McKeesport the other night. And Kiski at 1-4 on the year in the WPIAL, Class 5, Section 2. These two are section rivals, which is cool because we have some sponsors that wanted to be between both schools. And I'll get all that, hopefully, to you before this one ends. So I'm here. We're working on it, and we will get the other camera going here in a second and get the scoreboard up there for you. So just bear with me. I'll try and give you as much action as I can while I'm doing that. And, yeah, that's where we're at. So 12-2 Riverhawks. And one out quickly. I'm not sure who that was. Hitting there for Armstrong, but like I said, I'll get you up and running here as soon as we can. You'll hear typing. That's me rapping away at the keyboard to try and get your information. Base hit, ground ball to second base. And too quickly away here for the Riverhawks in the bottom of the fourth. Okay, I'm trying to get the game changer up and running here. And ground ball to third, skipped over, gets past the first baseman there, so the Riverhawks hitter will take an extra base and stop at second. I believe that was Jordan Klingensmith with that ground ball to third right there, and that one thrown into the dirt. So an error there by Kiski area allows the Riverhawks inning to continue. All right, Isabel Perzenica at bat. Got the game changer up and running there. Yes, that was Jordan Klingensmith that reached on the error at third. So the Riverhawks still alive here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. And Presentica draws a walk right there. So 2 runners aboard here for Armstrong. Bottom of the 4th, 2 outs. And it looks like we're going to get Delaney Smith in here to pinch hit. And she's coming in for Evelyn Chrisman at the, well, it looks like Delaney will go to first there. Maybe that's the way the starting lineup was. Then we have a box score here. And the ball hit, base hit into left center field, and around to score will be Jordan Klingensmith. That makes it 13-2 Riverhawks. So apparently it is, well, they got to score 2 more runs, then would be up 13 to end the game here in the 4th inning. Foul away there. Oh, my headphones are caught under something there. Definitely didn't need that. Little jerk of the neck. That ball hit into right field short. It's going to drop down. It gets past the right fielder. 1 run in, and next runner for the Riverhawks being stopped at third base. So a base hit, RBI single there. And that was Brown there. Well, they gave an error on the scoring, but that was definitely a single. And it looks like Sydney Krukar up with a chance to put it on the board and end this one. Krukar hit a couple of massive home runs in our last broadcast, so definitely has the power to get it out of here. First pitch is low and in the dirt. And that one in there, sky towards left field and deep, getting to the wall and over the center fielder off of the fence. It stays in. Krukar with an RBI double makes it 15-2. Well, it must be 15 until the 5th inning now. I thought it was 15 after 3, 13 after 4, and then 10 after 5, but we got it 15-2 here. So that's 13 as far as my math skills will allow me to take that one. Don't ask me to do any division. And that pitch in for a strike. And right now at the plate, well, Krukar with that RBI double. Now runners at second and third. Looks like Emery Flick out there at third base. Happy birthday to her father, Dave, today. Saw him over there standing in his signature spot in the top corner of the last bleachers. That ball popped towards second base and will be caught for the third and final out of the inning, but not before the Riverhawks get three more and make it 15-2 over the Cavaliers. I'm in an extremely uncomfortable position here, so if you hear me groaning and grunting, that's why. No table, because didn't need one of those today, because I wasn't going to Armstrong, right, of course. Here we go. Okay, there's your score, 15-2, thanks to Armstrong Indoor Athletics, today's scoreboard sponsor. Thanks also to Grease Contracting from down the Kiski way, today's Player of the Game sponsor. Thanks to Nicola Ann Photography, Ryan Bowser State Farm, Terry Steffi, Steffi's Country Catering, Demond Chiropractic, And all of our great sponsors here for Spring Sports on High Top Sports Network. Such are the challenges associated with spring sports. Somebody's field's wet. And they change the venue and don't tell anybody. Well, they told the teams, of course. But, yeah, I was told, well, we put it on our Facebook page. Well, I'm not sitting looking around Facebook all day. I just do not. Didn't get a notification anywhere. So we were late getting on here because we went to Kiski first and then turned around and came right back up 66. It was a nice little round trip. So a walk drawn right there by the Cavaliers. 1 on, 2 outs here in the top half of the 5th inning. And Riverhawks get out of the inning there, and that'll do it. As it is through 5 innings, 15-2, Armstrong with the victory. Well, I got you something for an inning and a half. Maybe an inning and an out, really. That is frustrating for you, I'm sure. It's frustrating for me. But I'll get the final stats here and go over them before I break down this equipment. I'll pull it up on the Game Changer here real fast. All right. Info. Well, that's not the info we needed. Look, it still says on the Game Changer that this game is at Kiski. It's not, as we can tell by our camera. All right. Well, I'll give you a rundown of what happened in the game. First, bottom of the 1st inning, a 3-run homer by Evelyn Chrisman to center field, scored Jordan Klingensmith and Isabel Presenica. That put the Riverhawks up 3-0. In the bottom of the 2nd inning, looks like Clara Toy advanced to second on an error, and we got a run. Oh, it was a sac fly by Lily Guthrie, so that made it 5-0, and then I believe, who does that say? Nicholson scored on the error. So that made it 5-0. That was 2 runs after the 3-run homer by Chrisman in the first. Then after that sac fly by Guthrie, Natalie Ziegler, who pitched and got the win today, she had an RBI single that scored Presenica. So that made it 6-0. That was after 2. Then in the third, right when I got here, was about, well, it was 9-0 when I got, no, it was 8-0. So we'll go with 7-0 here. Clara Toy, an RBI single up the middle. Then she's followed by Guthrie, an RBI single that scored Toy. Then Presenica, doubles to left field, scored Guthrie. And then, what do we got here? Evelyn Chrisman, who had the 3-run homer in the first and a 2-run double. So that's 5 RBIs for her as we go through this. And then Chrisman advanced on a pass ball. Ziegler has a base hit up the middle, so another RBI single for Natalie Ziegler. And by the end of the third, it was 12-0. Kiski got their only runs in the top half of the fourth. And it was via the long ball. Just pulling up the roster to make sure I say this young lady's name correctly. And in the top half of the fourth inning, Alyssa Perona had a 2-run homer, and that was off of Ziegler. And that would be Kiski's only runs of the afternoon. Then in the bottom of the fourth, Riverhawks scored 3 more. And it looks like we got an RBI single by Strauss that scored Klingensmith. And then a couple of errors, which the second one I thought was a, well, the first one I thought was a base hit. Brown had a, well, they're not giving her an RBI single in the game changer, but I thought it was a single. And then Krukar, I don't know why they gave her an error. That ball was off the fence. So Krukar had the 2-run double there off the fence, not an error on the Kiski center fielder. So that made 15-2, and then Ziegler in order 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the fifth inning. That made the final score 15-2 Riverhawks, and raised Armstrong's record to 6-2 on the year, as Kiski falls to 1-5. Hopefully, no such weather-related troubles next week. We've got plenty of games on the docket here. I'm going to pull up our schedule so you know where we're going to be, and always the possibility to add a game here or there during the spring. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen outside. All right, let's get the schedule pulled up here. So Monday, be right back here at Armstrong. The Greater Latrobe Wildcats will be in town, and then Tuesday we have Penn Hills and Armstrong baseball, Penn's Manor at West Shamokin baseball, and that'll be a doubleheader out there with the Comets and the Wolves, as softball will be playing at the same time. And then there's some boys volleyball games we might do next week. Usually that ends up being later in the season for us. We'll see. There's some boys volleyball on the schedule. And then on Friday, Franklin Regional will be here for softball. So there's games on the docket next week, baseball, softball, and possibly some boys volleyball too. So make sure you tune in, stay with us on our social media platforms, and find out what we're doing, where we're going. Heck, we might just drive somewhere for fun. All things being equal, you never know where we're going to end up. I saw a friend of the network, Mark Flem, here coaching the youngsters, 7th and 8th grade Kiski boys, baseball right behind me. And he said, the game's halfway over. What are you doing, setting up? I said, well, I didn't do that on purpose, Mr. Flem. I said, I just found out that the game wasn't in Kiski whenever I got to Kiski and nobody was there. I said, we're disorganized, but we generally show up in the right place. So that was today's adventure. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate your patience and understanding there. I put a post up on Facebook when we were coming back to try and get here and get as much of this game on as we could. And I got about an inning and maybe 2 outs. I can't remember exactly when it went live, but I think in a 4.5 inning game, it's 40%, 35%, somewhere in that area. So hey man, we're never going to give up the fight. All right, well, that'll do it for us this week. High Top Sports Network. Josh Rettengost here signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the patience again. Appreciate all the support, as always. And thanks to our wonderful sponsors, especially Armstrong Indoor Athletics and Grease Contracting down in Vandergrift. Much appreciated, as always. All right, that's going to do it for me. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Be well.